tonight. Trump on the border.
We built a wall that was not a wall that anybody could get through.
The former president's trip south on the heels of the vice president's own border visit. CBN News is there.
Human smuggling arrests are now skyrocketing.
Plus, beat the heat.
It feels like Armageddon. It really does.
Mercury-busting temperatures across the country. This as search and rescuers hold out hope for survivors. A week now since the catastrophic collapse of a Florida condo. And mixed messaging on mask wearing with that COVID-19 Delta variant on the rise. All this and more on Faith Nation. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm Wendy Griffith. Former President Donald Trump joined Texas Governor Greg Abbott on the U.S.-Mexico border today to showcase the unfinished border wall and attack President Joe Biden's policies they claim have led to the unprecedented surge of people crossing our southern border. For more on their trip, we're joined now by our Capitol Hill correspondent, Abigail Robertson. Abigail, this is one of just a few public appearances that Trump has made since leaving office. What did he have to say today?
Well, Wendy, today President Trump talked a lot about the policies that his administration put in place to not just deter the cartels from bringing people across the border, but also illegal things like drugs. And he blames President Biden's reversal of many of those policies for the current situation we're seeing at the border today. Take a look.
We did a great job, and within a period of a few months, it was all dissipated. Remain in Mexico, so important. Catch and release, we broke that one. Chain migration, where people come in and then they bring everybody else in with them. We did a hell of a job, and we had it down to really a science. It was down to a point where people just weren't getting in unless they came in legally. I mean, the real question is, do they really want open borders? Or are they incompetent? There's only two things. You're either incompetent or for some reason you have a screw loose and you want to have open borders.
And Texas Governor Greg Abbott also spoke to how Texans are combating the current surge with plans to finish Trump's border wall with state funds. And Abbott says there's an 8,000% increase in people coming across from last May to this May.
There's one place to solve all the problems on the border, and that is on the border. And that's exactly where the Biden administration needs to devote their resources to get the job done. We passed in our state budget that I just signed more than $1 billion of funding for Texas to have to step up and secure our border. And then after that, they added an additional $250 million for Texas to begin building our own border wall to keep Texas safe.
Want to make a quick correction. I said 8,000% increase, and I meant to say 800% increase. But CBN's Tara Mergener is at the southern border right now, and she'll be bringing us an inside look on tomorrow's Faith Nation. Wendy?
Great. Thank you so much, Abigail. Well, tonight, the death toll continues to rise as search and rescue teams dig through the rubble of that collapsed condo in Florida. Now, 16 people are dead, 1 week since the devastating collapse. This as revelation surfaced that the Surfside Condo Board's boss warned of worsening damage to the building just 3 months ago. As President Biden prepares to head to Surfside tomorrow, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis called on the federal government for help before severe weather closes in.
This is the attention of the state, of the country, and in some respects the world. This is hurricane season. The state government's monitoring all storms.
God bless them. Well, tonight we can report Donald Rumsfeld has died at the age of 88. The former defense secretary served as defense secretary under Presidents Gerald Ford and George W. Bush and is known for overseeing the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Rumsfeld said the invasion of Iraq and subsequent removal of Saddam Hussein, quote, created a more stable and secure world. A family spokesman said the cause of death was multiple myeloma. Well, here with us now is Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. Tony, thanks for being with us.
Good to be with you today.
Well, first of all, Donald Rumsfeld's death. How much of a surprise and what kind of legacy will he leave?
Well, you know, he served as defense secretary twice. I actually had the opportunity when he was serving under George W. Bush to speak with him, actually pray with him on one occasion. He was a no-nonsense leader. I think he did a good job given all of the challenges he had after 9/11. But he was a good leader.
Tony, before we get to the former president's trip to the southern border, there are reports that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is pleading with Trump to postpone his visit to Florida. What do you think is going to happen? Is former President Trump going to comply, or will he forge ahead with his plans?
Well, I hope he would comply. Being from Louisiana and having gone through a number of natural disasters in which life was lost, that becomes the focus. And Governor DeSantis is correct. This is something that not just the nation, but the world is watching because of the international community that's affected by those that were living in those towers. So I think the president would be wise to not hold an event. I mean, it'd be great if he went just to give his support for what the rescue workers and others are doing. But I don't think it would be appropriate to do the rally, given what's unfolding there in Florida.
All right. Well, the former president toured unfinished portions of the border wall with Texas Governor Greg Abbott today. And Greg Abbott has promised to build a state-funded border wall. Will a border wall, will that alone solve America's immigration crisis?
It won't solve it alone, but it'll be a good start. And this is actually a good use of the former president's time. I'm glad he went to the border. I was there a little over a year ago after his Remain in Mexico policy was put in place. And look, what has happened is you have the current administration has turned a fix into a fiasco because the problem had actually gone away. It was almost like a ghost town on our southern border because people were staying and being processed in a very systematic, rational way. Now you have chaos at the border. You've got to have border security. You've got to have the wall. But we also have to go beyond that. I've been having conversations with members of Congress on both sides of the aisle. We have to come together with a long-term solution regarding our broken immigration system so that people can come here legally who want to be a part of America. The problem we have now is what you've been hearing. It's not just those coming here for economic opportunity. It's those that are coming here trafficking other human beings and wanting to do bad things to America.
Tony, the Biden administration wants to stem the tide of migrants at the source by focusing on the origin point countries in the Northern Triangle and in Mexico, as opposed to focusing on security at the border. Can and should it be both?
I think it's got to be a little bit of both, but I think we should have learned something about the war on drugs. I mean, that was part of the argument of going into the jungles of Colombia and elsewhere to fight at the source of trying to cut off the drugs, when in fact, as long as you have a demand, there's going to be a supply. So I do think it is a little bit of both, but we have to deal with it here in the country. And the first is regulating who comes in. And the way you do that is border security, but then also fixing the system so that people know that they have an opportunity with a system that works and is fair. Right now, the system is broken, and it's easier for people to come in and out illegally than it is to go through a legal system.
Thanks, Tony. We'll have to leave it there. We always appreciate your insights. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, wildfires are raging out west tonight as temperatures reach unprecedented levels. The situation prompting President Biden to hold a special meeting with White House officials and western state governors. Joining us now is our CBN News White House correspondent, Eric Phillips. Eric, what's the latest?
Wendy, the president says we have to act and act fast. So far this year, some 47 wildfires have destroyed 630,000 acres of land. That is significantly more than this same point last year. The president says we're playing catch up, and he's moving to back up those on the front lines.
There are already about 9,000 firefighters deployed across the region, from California to New Mexico to Utah and Nevada, and it's only June.
Those numbers leading to a White House strategy session with Western state governors, cabinet members, and senior staff.
Well, with climate change driving the dangerous confluence of extreme heat and prolonged drought, we're seeing wildfires of greater intensity that move with more speed, and that's a problem for all of us.
It feels like Armageddon. It really does.
Spokane, Washington hit 109 degrees Tuesday, the highest temperature ever recorded in that city. Inland areas saw unprecedented temperature spikes, causing power cables to melt and rolling blackouts as demand for electricity reached peak levels. About 9,300 customers lost power Monday alone. With wildfires spreading across the West, on Wednesday, the president pledged the federal government would increase the number of firefighters battling them. He also announced a pay increase for firefighters to $15 an hour and the decision to make seasonal positions permanent. Plus, the government will be using tools from NOAA to spot wildfires before they can grow out of control. And the EPA is launching a new app to help keep people safe.
We will be adding the Fire and Smoke app to the AirNow mobile app next month so that firefighters, families, and people throughout the communities in the West can take action to reduce their exposure. EPA is deploying additional new sensors in heavy smoke areas to assess air quality. Climate control, a key yet controversial part of the infrastructure plan the Biden administration authored. He and others insisting climate is not a partisan issue.
When you look at that thermometer, 117, 119 degrees up north, we were 123 down in Palm Springs 2 days ago, 111 just 48 hours ago. There's no Republican thermometer, no Democratic thermometer. These realities are here with us today.
Wildfires are not a partisan phenomenon. They don't stop at a county or a state line.
The president said a meeting like today's will become an annual event to work to try and stave off these wildfires as temperatures are regularly rising to dangerous levels, not just out west, but in other areas as well. The latest from the White House. Wendy, back to you in the studio.
You were looking calm, cool, and collected, so thank you very much, Eric. We'll be right back after this.
Before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire. Monday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Thursday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Welcome back to Faith Nation. The CDC is warning that the highly contagious Delta variant now accounts for more than a quarter of the country's new COVID cases. And there's special concern that under-vaccinated areas are especially vulnerable. Senior National Affairs correspondent Heather Sells reports.
1 month ago, the Delta variant accounted for just 3% of all U.S. cases. Now it's exploded to more than a quarter. And that's bad news for under-vaccinated areas.
what you are going to see among under-vaccinated regions, be they states, cities, or counties, you're going to see these individual types of blips. It's almost like it's going to be two Americas.
Dr. Anthony Fauci is warning of high risk in these communities. Right now, Delta's epicenter is in Missouri, where just 38% of those eligible are fully vaccinated. In the last month, COVID cases have shot up by 75%. And a new analysis by Bloomberg shows in close to 500 counties, many in the south and central regions of the U.S., less than 25% are vaccinated. Fauci and other public health officials say vaccination is the best way to stop Delta in its tracks.
This is entirely avoidable, entirely preventable. If you are vaccinated, you diminish dramatically your risk of getting infected, and even more dramatically, your risk of getting seriously ill.
The White House is also pushing the message.
Getting vaccinated is safe, it's effective, and it's free.
New polling from Axios shows that while a majority of Americans are now concerned about the Delta variant, they have not changed their behavior. Last week, the World Health Organization re-upped its recommendation that everyone wear masks, and this week, Los Angeles followed suit, recommending masks in public indoor spaces. But the CDC is taking a different tack, letting those who are vaccinated know they don't need one.
Those masking policies are really intended to protect the unvaccinated. The vaccinated, we believe, still are safe.
For now, Los Angeles stands alone. Public health officials in other big cities like Chicago and New York say they do not plan to return to mask requirements. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. Here with us now is CBN News medical reporter Lori Johnson. Lori, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, between the WHO, the CDC, and state officials all offering different guidance on mask wearing, who are we to believe?
Well, the CDC is absolutely right. And just about every, if not all, medical professional will say, if you are immune, you do not need to wear a mask. Remember, immunity can come from two different sources of vaccine, and also if you have recovered from the COVID-19 virus. And so many people in America have this immunity. And if you are concerned about getting the COVID virus, then you should wear a mask, or if you're concerned about giving it to someone who has not had immunity, then you should wear a mask, but otherwise not necessarily.
All right, good information. How worried are you personally about the rise of this Delta variant of COVID-19 in the U.S.?
Well, not really that much. Here's why. Because even though the cases have gone up and the deaths have gone up, because presumably from the Delta variant, it's nowhere near where we were at the peak of the pandemic. For example, about a week ago, we had less than 100 deaths in all of the United States. Now it's about 150. So that's definitely going in the wrong direction. But Wendy, think about it. 150 deaths in January, we averaged more than 3,000 deaths a day. There were 6 days in January where more than 4,000 people died in a day. So we're so far from that. Same thing with cases. Ideally, people said the pandemic is over when we're below 10,000 cases a day. We were only 7,000 cases in a day about a week ago. Now we're more than double that. 15,000. But again, in January, we averaged about 250,000 cases in a day. So we're so far from where we were. And it's really hard to believe that we're ever going to get back into that territory with so many people vaccinated and so many people having natural immunity.
Lori, how important are vaccines in this fight? And do you think they'll work against the Delta variant?
They do work against the Delta variant. They don't work as well. So, for example, the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines worked about 94 to 95% of the time guarding against infection. Now they work about 85% of the time preventing infection, but they still have a 96% effectiveness in preventing serious disease, hospitalization, or death. So, about 15% of the time people might get COVID-19 who have been fully vaccinated, but it's going to be a mild case. 96% of hospitalizations are among people who are not vaccinated. So yes, the vaccines still work.
All right. Good information. Thank you so much, Lori. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
When we come back, the former top diplomat in the U.S. on why the lab leak theory over the origin of COVID-19 never got traction when it mattered.
Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile. Grow, connect, have fun. The all-new MyCBN app.
On the home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
Wednesday at 3 on the CBN News Channel.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
Tonight, America's former top diplomat says the media played politics with the theory that COVID-19 originated in a lab in China. CBN's David Brody sat down with former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo for this interview.
What are some of the lessons we can learn now that the media and others who call this a conspiracy theory, who called it a lot worse, called you a lot of worse things, what are the lessons we can learn from some of this going forward?
Well, from the media perspective, David, here's the deal. They didn't accept what we said, the data set that we laid out before them, because they played politics. They had a theory of the case that was based on this. Was Mike Pompeo saying this, and he works in the Trump administration, and therefore there's some other angle here. They're trying to, it's a shiny object theory or whatever it is. The truth was is that we came to understand in spring of 2020 that the most likely solution to this was the one that was right in front of us, the one that suggested that this virus that has all kinds of characteristics that are very unique, that suggest that there is some kind of man-made interference. And when you pile on top of that the fact that they've covered this thing up, they won't let us get to patient zero or the original virus itself, the fact that they disappeared journalists, the fact that they disappeared one of the senior medical people, the fact that 3 of their doctors got sick in fall of 2019, cumulatively, the weight of that evidence tells you a single story, that this almost certainly came from the Institute of Virology. And so put aside the media piece of this. This was an enormous mistake for the world, because for an awfully long time we gave the Chinese Communist Party a free pass, thinking, oh gosh, this could happen to anyone, when in fact if it came from the viral lab, it wouldn't necessarily. If you had good safety practices, or you were at least prepared to respond to the crisis rather than taking known sick people, getting them on airplanes and having them fly to Milan, Italy. I mean, that is as close to intentional spread of the disease as you can get.
There's a concern that the gain-of-function research portion of this may not have been investigated as thoroughly by some deep staters, if you will, in the State Department. What can you tell us about that?
There was enormous resistance to this. I can't tell you their motivations. You'd have to ask them. We did face resistance from outside the State Department, too. We had taken this task on. We'd hired a contractor to help us gather what data we could, because we could see the World Health Organization wasn't going to do what they were supposed to do. So we decided to take this on, because we also were worried about bioweapons. right? This is a country that has been engaged in bioweapons research as well. We wanted to make sure that these were disconnected. So we were moving heaven and earth as fast as we could. We ran over the resistance as best we could, both from inside the State Department and from NIH and other places, people who didn't want to talk about the fact that there had been grants to the WIV. We just kept at it, trying to churn away and turn as much as we could. And even to this day, while I can't prove it, I can't show you the definitive proof. Seems to me this is far and away the most likely outcome. And I know the people who could disprove it if I'm wrong. That's the Chinese Communist Party, and to date all they have done is badmouth me, not show up with any science.
For sure. And just so I understand a clarification, the resistance you're talking about is through the gain-of-function research portion within the State Department. There were some folks that didn't want that to go forward.
Yeah, more broadly, they just didn't. Even the work on the origination, they thought this was running down a rabbit hole, and they thought it was political, not scientific. And in fact, I think what has been shown from the first time I talked about this in the spring of 2020 till today is that it wasn't politics. We did the science. We did the science right, and we've now, I think, uncovered what is the most likely source of the Wuhan virus.
Are you suffering from feeling tired or worn out during the day? Can you not turn off your brain at night? You are not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce, the Sleep Doctor, and I've partnered with the Christian Broadcasting Network, and we're going to bring you some unbelievable information that you can use tonight to get a better night's rest.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Protect Your Sleep today.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living Tuesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man, come with...
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Finally tonight, a 38-year-old mother who struggled with finding childcare for job interviews until now, Maggie Mundwiller, brought her toddler Milo with her to a recent interview and made sure he looked the part too. Milo's interview, there he is. Milo's interview prep included combing his hair, donning a suit, washing the wheels of his stroller, and he even came prepared with his own resume. The video has since gone viral, and the pair received a job offer. That's going to do it for Faith Nation. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.